What up, YouTube? How are you doing? It's your man Lash. You know how I do. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Let's get started. You all know what's been trending on the internet, Diddy has been arrested. For those of you that don't know who Diddy is a big-time multi-millionaire music producer and musician or artist in America. 2024 March, his house was raided and they found a lot of baby oil and lubricants that he used for his freaky party. That's so bad. Many people have come out to accuse Diddy, and Diddy is in big trouble. I mean, he's in prison now. I cannot give you all the story. That's why I have this video, and you have to watch it with me to get the full details. Let's get started.
Remember back in March when Diddy's home was raided? Well, we've just found what was inside, and it includes guns, ammo, and 1,000 bottles of lube. That's right, 1,000 bottles of lube. Everyone from regular fans online to 50 Cent has been joking about it, but the dark truth of what Diddy's guns and lube bottles are being used for will wipe that grin straight off your face. Breaking news, Diddy arrested. On Tuesday, the 17th of September, Diddy was arrested, and since then, many previously unknown details about his criminal enterprise have started to be revealed. His indictment has been made public, and it's broken down the full extent of his crimes, and soon, he'll face the full force of the U.S. justice system. According to his lawyer, though, Diddy is a fighter and not afraid of the charges against him.
Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. He came to New York to establish his innocence.
That guy might be the only one in the world who believes Diddy's innocent at this point. But after all, that is his job, and he's got to say that. Although, remember when he said that Cassie Ventura lied about Diddy's assault and he was innocent of that? And then that video came out that showed him physically abusing her. Let's just say things aren't looking too good for Diddy's case. Either way, it's innocent until proven guilty, and there's a chance, albeit very slim, that Diddy is actually innocent of the overwhelming charges against him. Still, there's one thing his lawyer says that's most definitely a lie.
He's been looking forward to this day.
Come on, there's no way anybody would be looking forward to being arrested and charged for sex trafficking. And wait until you see the prison they've kept him in. It's notoriously rough. That interview with Diddy's lawyer was a day before his bail hearing. And since then, we found out that for the time being, he's not going anywhere and will have to sit in a cell until his trial. Just imagine being Diddy waking up on Tuesday morning in your mansion, and then by the evening, you're in a prison cell. Talk about a fall from grace.
I mean, nobody wants to be in that kind of situation. Diddy is in big trouble. This happening is a sign, because he has really stepped on so many people's toes, So it's like karma catching up with him.
Worse is that the prison he's being kept in is the same place they kept Ghislaine Maxwell and R. Kelly, two other notorious convicted sex traffickers. It's not a nice place, and it's called the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, but don't let its outside appearance fool you. It's a notorious prison that reports say has been plagued by outbreaks of violence, unsanitary conditions, and understaffing. Reports say that Diddy is being kept away from other prisoners for now. We don't yet know when Diddy's trial will be, but we can safely assume he'll be in a hurry to get out of that place. And from what we know about it, there's a chance he doesn't even survive until the trial. If that sounds far-fetched, just remember what happened to Epstein, another accused sex trafficker who was miraculously killed in his cell before he made it to trial.
I mean, I remember the case of Epstein, or whatever he was called, a sex trafficker too, that was detained, was put in prison waiting trial too, and he was, I believe he was, and the press said he committed suicide. Doesn't make any sense to me. But that is the same prison that Diddy is being detained now, man. Man, that doesn't feel good at all. There's found the mountain for Diddy.
What's more is that the Metropolitan Detention Center has a history of deadly stabbings and barbaric living conditions, and people have also said there are maggots in his food. According to a lawyer, at least 4 inmates have died by suicide there in the past 3 years. And just earlier this summer, an inmate was murdered. So you can see why his lawyer is so desperate to get him out of there. Inmates have claimed there are stabbings at least once a week, and one guy even claimed that he saw somebody stabbed in the eyeball with a makeshift knife. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Diddy if he does get released into the general population part of the prison. For now, at least, he's safe in isolation. Well, safe might be an overstatement, as even if he doesn't get killed by inmates, he's still got to survive the other horrendous conditions. Winter is coming, and we know that in 2019, more than 1,000 inmates were stuck in freezing occupying cells for days at a time following a power outage that shut down the prison's heating system. At this point, Diddy's probably thinking he's died and gone to hell. The charges against him are racketeering, sexual trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, which only really scratches the surface of all the things he's accused of. And right now it's said that there are over 50 victims and witnesses to the crimes. Despite the severity of the crimes, as of now, nothing has been proven, so some of you might be sympathetic to his lawyer who said, "I'm not going to let him sit in that jail a day longer than he has to." Diddy has been to court twice already and has done everything in his power to not have to spend any time in that prison, including proposing a $50 million bail. His lawyers pleaded with the judge and tried to convince him that Diddy wasn't a flight risk, but the judge was having none of it. His lawyer claimed to have taken away Diddy's passport months ago and even tried to highlight some of his charity work, but none of that was able to sway the decision. The district court judge, whose name is Andrew Carter, crushed all hope of bail and said, "There is no condition or set of conditions that would ensure the safety of the community or that Combs would not contact witnesses." In other words, no amount of money or power in the world is getting Diddy out of there before his trial. In the past, Diddy has been accused of using his influence and reach to bribe witnesses, and the prosecutors themselves have said that he's a threat to the community.
You see, that is the thing about life. When you're so influential, you're so rich, and you use your influence, your power to do evil, it's just a matter of time. Everything will catch up with you, you know. Everything is going to come back and play over your face, you know. And you'll see, you'll be affected in a way that you will realize that it's all the evil you've been doing all this time, and you have been getting away with it because you're influential, because you have power, and you're rich. This time around, he's hooked, you know. He's like totally hooked in this. There's no going out of this.
In their words, he has repeatedly tried to obstruct the government's investigation of this case, repeatedly contacting victims and witnesses and feeding them false narratives of the events. While Diddy and his family are probably having the worst week of their lives, there's one man who's over the moon about Diddy's arrest. 50 Cent has been one of Diddy's biggest critics for years and took the new opportunity to mock him. On Instagram, 50 Cent posted a picture of him with Drew Barrymore, which was captioned with an insult to Diddy, which said, "Here I am keeping good company with that Drew Barrymore show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." If you didn't know, Diddy's house was raided back in March, and the police found 1,000 bottles of lube, as well as some unregistered firearms, and video footage of the infamous freak-offs. Although that was all uncovered in March, it's only being revealed now in the indictment. It's crazy, isn't it? Why would anyone who isn't doing seriously freaky stuff need that much lube? Anyway, 50 Cent is likely not the only person celebrating his arrest. We're sure the women who
Hold on a minute. 1,000 lubricant and oil, baby oil, that is some level of freaky shit going on, I'm telling you. Man, that guy, Diddy, he had some dark shit nobody knew about. Well, some people do, and now everything is coming up to the light.
he allegedly assaulted are pretty happy about it too. If you didn't know, there are new assault allegations against Diddy as well. The lawsuits just keep piling up. Diddy assaulting his ex-girlfriend. On September 10th, exactly 1 week before Diddy's arrest, he was sued by Dawn Richard, who claims that he groped and threatened her. She also alleges that she witnessed him brutally beat his ex-girlfriend Cassie. Dawn Richards is a former member of a female musical group known as Danity Kane. Diddy assembled the group during the reality TV show Making the Band. Dawn is claiming that he assaulted, groped, and imprisoned her, as well as threatened her life when she tried to defend his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura from physical abuse. Dawn herself was handpicked by Diddy to be part of the pop band, and also says that Diddy refused to pay her wages for her time with the group and now owes her millions of dollars. She's not the only artist claiming he didn't pay her. Lil Rod, who's got another lawsuit, is saying the same thing. It's strange for somebody who has a suggested net worth of between $400 million to $1 billion to be so stingy. Maybe the strange.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Being so wealthy and rich and still be stingy and not giving everybody that have worked with you their own cut of the cake, that's being very stingy. That's being evil, and that's why everything is catching up with him. That's why he's in the mess he's in now. Diddy.
Of lawsuits against him is starting to affect his pocket, especially since we don't know the full details of his previous payouts and settlements. Diddy's lawyer, as usual, came out to deny these allegations. He said, "In an attempt to rewrite history, Dawn Richard has now manufactured a series of false claims, all in the hopes of trying to get a payday." The words are very similar to what Diddy's lawyers have used in almost every one of Diddy's lawsuits, where he claims his client is innocent and the accusers are just after his money. They went on to say the lawsuit is conveniently timed to coincide with her album release and press tour. She even goes as far as to say that by suing Diddy, Dawn has cast their 20-year friendship aside to try and get money from him. In the lawsuit, it says that Dawn Richards felt empowered to come forward by other lawsuits, especially the one from Cassie Ventura. If you don't know Cassie, full name Cassandra Ventura, is Diddy's ex-girlfriend and was once signed to his record label Bad Boy. She says she met Diddy when she was only 19 and he was 37. And over the course of their being together, Diddy exerted his power and influence over her, and she alleges that he also forced her to have sex with other men. In an explosive lawsuit that came out in November 2023, Cassie accused Diddy of rape and repeated physical abuse throughout their relationship, which spanned years. Only a day after the lawsuit was filed, Diddy and Cassie came to a settlement agreement, and although the amount of money he paid her was never disclosed, we can guess it was a lot. Despite the settlement, Diddy and his lawyer denied the allegations, and his lawyer said, "Mr. Combs' decision to settle the lawsuit does not in any way undermine his flat-out denial of the claims." However, around 6 months later, in March of 2024, a viral video started circulating in which you can see Diddy clearly physically attacking Ventura in a hotel lobby. So what happened to Diddy being entirely innocent of the crimes? Well, his lawyer tried to somehow blame her for the attack. In his statement, he refers to her as victim number one, but it's very likely he's speaking about Cassie. Diddy's lawyer claims that the fight broke out because Diddy found evidence of her cheating on him. He then claims that she hit him over the head with a phone, stuffed his clothes into a bag, and walked out of the hotel room, which is why we see him chasing after her and attacking her. She has left him in the hotel with no clothes after hitting him in the head with a cell phone. That is what his lawyer said about it all, which is a bit different than when he first said Diddy denies all crimes. Anyway, Diddy himself did apologize for it in this video.
I was stuck. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
If you're wondering why Diddy was never charged for the horrific beating, well, the LA District Attorney's Office had this to say. "We are aware of the video that has been circulating online allegedly depicting Sean Combs assaulting a young woman in Los Angeles."
Yo, when Diddy and Cassie were dating many years ago, I used to admire them. Truth be told, I used to admire their relationship outdoors. They're always in the red carpet looking all cute together. And I was thinking they're the perfect couple. I never knew Diddy had some monster nature in him, And now everything is being revealed and it's just irritating to see what's behind closed doors, What we don't see sometimes can be the most important thing in people's life. Now we can see everything and it's terrible.
Even admit they found the footage disturbing and difficult to watch. After that, they explained why they couldn't do anything about it and said, "If the conduct depicted occurred in 2016, unfortunately, we would be unable to charge as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be prosecuted. As of now, there is no ongoing case against Diddy for assaulting Cassie, but her previous lawsuit does mention the incident and provides some very interesting details that also relate to Diddy's current situation and to why the judge was so adamant in not providing his bail. The complaint filed by Cassie suggests that Diddy paid the hotel $50,000 for the video footage, which is another example of him allegedly using his money and power to bribe and maneuver his way out of legal trouble. The new lawsuit by Dawn Richards sheds more light on the alleged abuse Cassie suffered in the hands of Diddy. She claims to have seen him strike her multiple times and even once punched her straight in the face. She also says that one time, Diddy threw a pan of scalding hot eggs at her, as well as physically assaulted her in front of celebrities. Dawn also says that every time she tried to reach out and help Cassie, Diddy would become enraged and threaten her life. Her lawsuit claims Diddy said he has the power to make people disappear and could end people. We're now finding out that these claims of Diddy having very powerful connections and the ability to bribe and coerce influential people might be more than just speculation. A man named Lil Rod has his own lawsuit which directly accuses Diddy of wanting to leverage his connection with world-famous Bishop T.D. Jakes to help him with the Cassie situation. Lil Rod vs. Diddy Combs. In February 2024, a man named Rodney Jones, also known as Lil Rod, shocked the world when he filed a 100-page lawsuit that extensively detailed many crimes allegedly committed by Diddy, including grooming and sexual trafficking, among other things, including serious allegations against high-profile celebrities and members of Diddy's closest associates. According to the lawsuit, Rod is a musical prodigy, and his talents have been used to produce and create music that has been used by some of the biggest names in the industry. It says he met Diddy in August of 2022 after he received a call from him, which requested his assistance on Diddy's up-and-coming album titled The Love Album Off the Grid. This would be any up-and-coming producer's dream. Getting a call from one of the biggest names in music to be part of their first album in nearly 20 years would sound like an amazing opportunity. However, according to Rod, this dream would soon become a nightmare. The lawsuit states that from September 2022 to November 2023, Rod worked on and helped produce 9 songs from the album. That doesn't sound like that long, since we know albums can sometimes take years to finish, but what was strange is that Diddy allegedly required Rod to live with him for the entire duration. That's right. For over a year, Rod was effectively spending months at a time with Diddy working on the album. Rod says that he missed birthdays, holidays, and important family events during that time. Sadly, missing out on his personal life was the least of Rod's worries, as the lawsuit claims he witnessed and endured many things that went far beyond what any producer would be expected to do. Things like sexual abuse, drug use and distribution, providing laced alcoholic drinks to minors, and many more serious crimes. What's even more shocking is that Diddy isn't the only person that's named in the lawsuit. Many high-profile people like the actor Cuba Gooding Jr., the Oscar-winning actor known for his role in films like Boys in the Hood. The lawsuit claims that Diddy groomed Rod into having homosexual intercourse with Cuba, and that he was even groped and sexually assaulted by him. Cuba, who's been accused of various crimes related to sexual misconduct, has broken his silence on it and has had this to say in his defense.
Like your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is
him,
the
right?
most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity.
Despite claiming to barely know Diddy and saying the case is ridiculous, the lawsuit shows pictures that appear to be Cuba getting very intimate with Lil Rod. You've got to admit, whoever's in that picture looks very similar to Cuba Gooding Jr., and since his hands are all over Rod, the claims that he sexually assaulted him might not be that ridiculous. Apart from Cuba, there's a whole host of names implicated in Rod's lawsuit.
Yo, if anyone had told me that Cuban Goodings would be part of Diddy's case, I would have doubted that, you know? But it's so funny how we're just finding out about all this right now. You know, these are some celebrities that we used to look up to and be like, yo, they're getting it right, they're doing the right stuff. And so many people see them as mentors, you know? But these people are not what they are or what they seem to be outside. There's something else inside, you know? Man, this is crazy.
Like we mentioned before, a world-famous pastor known as Bishop T.D. Jakes was said to have been leveraged by Diddy to soften the impact the Cassie Ventura case had on his public image. While that alone doesn't implicate T.D. Jakes as being guilty of any crime, it's got a lot of people wondering why he was so closely associated with Diddy and his crazy parties that have been notorious for years. In 2022, a video went viral on Facebook which showed T.D. Jakes at Diddy's 53rd birthday party. Even without the alleged criminal activity, Diddy parties have always been known as quite a sinful affair. So what was a pastor doing there? In the pastor's defense, a spokesperson came out to say that Jakes only stopped off at the party after a brief visit since he was in town. A massive part of many of the lawsuits against Diddy is the elaborate sexual nature of Diddy's parties and the so-called freak-offs that occur in them that are alleged to often have homosexual acts being performed. Many think it's entirely inappropriate for a pastor to ever attend a Diddy party, and it's safe to say they're right. We may never know for sure what went on at Diddy's 53rd birthday party in regards to T.D. Jakes, but Diddy's ex-security guard Gene Deal, who attended many of these parties, had a few things to say about it. He says that back in the day, the crazy sexual stuff would happen behind closed doors, but nowadays it happens out in the open, suggesting that the bishop would definitely have seen some sinful behavior going on. Here's Deal talking about it.
Maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and T.D. Jakes are among the long list of names that the Rod lawsuit talks about, but there are some that have been redacted which people are very curious about. Since the Rod lawsuit back in February, Meek Mill's name has constantly been mentioned due to people believing he was one of the redacted names. Since Diddy's arrest, a new viral leaked audio has been circulating that people claim is of Diddy having sex with Meek. Meek Mill has denied the previous allegations and the new ones and said, the two things they say, we snitching or we gay. We generating hundreds of millions from music. It's not a coincidence we all gay and snitching. Rod's case highlights cases of blackmail and allegedly that Diddy has footage of many famous people engaging in freaky sexual acts, so we're sure as the lawsuits progress more will be released. Many people think that Diddy's alleged crimes are fairly recent due to most of the major complaints being filed in the last year or so. However, there's evidence to suggest that Diddy's criminal activities date all the way back to the 90s. Diddy's criminal activities in the 90s, all the way back in September of 1999.
So, seems like Diddy has been doing all this nasty stuff from way back, from the 90s. It didn't just start today or yesterday. It started from way back. The evil man does started from way back. Yeah.
Diddy made headlines for pleading guilty to assaulting a top record executive. Diddy was arrested in April of that year on felony assault charges and faced up to 7 years in prison for the crime. At the time, Diddy was the chairman of Bad Boy Records, and his arrest came from him allegedly assaulting the executive of Interscope Records, Steve Stout. The incident was said to have happened during business hours at a New York office owned by Universal Music Group. The assault happened due to an argument about Diddy's participation in a music video, and Stout claims that Diddy, along with two of his bodyguards, stormed into his office, pummeled him, trashed the place, and then left. This highlights more occasions where Diddy seemed to be above the law, as although he pleaded guilty and faced felony charges and prison time, he only received a slap on the wrist. He paid no fine and served no jail time or even community service. He was ordered to do a one-day anger management class, which obviously didn't work, and that was about it. During the late 90s, Diddy's record label Bad Boy Records was said to have generated over $130 million in 1999 alone, and his going to prison would have been very bad for business. The dynamics of the case interestingly changed in June of that year after Combs publicly apologized and reconciled with Stout, and sources suggest that they had an agreement that included a $1 million payment to Stout at a future time. It's another incident of Diddy allegedly using his wealth to get out of trouble, but that's far from the only crime that's said to have occurred back then. Fast forward to November 2023, just after the Cassie Ventura lawsuit, two more women came out and alleged that Diddy sexually assaulted them in the early 90s. A woman named Liza Gardner came out and claimed that Diddy, along with another R&B singer named Aaron Hall, assaulted her and a friend in 1990.
Yo, for me, I think Cassie was the one that opened the gate for other ladies that had been molested by Diddy, to come out and also accuse him and sue a court case against him, because it was after Cassie sued Diddy that every other person started coming out. Yeah, he did that to me. He did this to me. That's crazy.
Another woman named Joy Dickerson Neal came out and claimed Diddy drugged and assaulted her when she was 19. Combs allegedly recorded and shared a video of the assault, which has yet to be released to the public. Diddy's legal teams made attempts to dismiss certain parts of these cases, but as of now, they're ongoing and are just adding to the list of lawsuits against him. The only reason they were made possible is due to New York state laws such as the Adult Survivors Act and the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Act, which allow lawsuits of this nature to be filed outside of the window of time usually allowed for things like this. It's said that he assaulted those women in 1990 and 1991, and 2 years after those alleged incidents, Diddy founded Bad Boy Records, which is when he began discovering up-and-coming rap names like Notorious Big Fast Forward to 1999. The same year that he assaulted the record label executive, Diddy's name would be in the headlines again, this time for something much more serious. In December of 1999, Diddy, along with his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, were all over the news due to a shooting that occurred in a nightclub he was at. It's said they sped away from the scene of the crime and were arrested shortly after. They were at the club celebrating one of Diddy's up-and-coming rappers, Shine's new album. Shine had recently signed to Bad Boy Records and was seen as his protege. After the shooting, charges against Diddy were dropped, and Shine ended up up being sentenced to 10 years in jail. Diddy was his mentor, and there are even allegations that he set him up to take the fall for the crime. More things are coming out about the incident now, since Lil Rod's lawsuit claims that Diddy admitted to using Jennifer Lopez to bring the gun into the club, and it also suggests he was the one who pulled the trigger. What's more is that very recently, on September 18, 2024, one of the victims of the shooting came out and openly accused Diddy of shooting her in the face. Her name is Natanya Rubin, and she claimed to have been delighted by the news of his arrest and went on to detail what really happened that night. She says that she saw Diddy and Jennifer Lopez arrive at the club, and then Diddy got into an altercation with a drug dealer. She then says that she saw with her own eyes Diddy had a gun in his hand and then fired it. Unfortunately for her, she was struck directly between the eyes by the bullet and somehow miraculously survived. Rubin said, "It felt like I was hit with Paul Bunyan's flaming hot sledgehammer. Who knows what that means, but it sure sounds painful." At the time, the shooting was one of the biggest scandals in hip-hop, and Diddy's own bodyguard, Gene Deal, the same guy who spoke on the TD Jakes involvement, has been listed in the Lil Rod lawsuit as accusing Diddy of snitching on Shine to save himself from going to jail.
Yes. Gene Deal has been somebody that has been outspoken during this whole Diddy scenario, you know. And Gene Deal used to be Diddy's bodyguard or so in the 90s or till 2000, and I can't figure out the date, but he knows Diddy pretty good, and he has been like out there, like speaking out and spitting out a lot of information and exposure about Diddy's secret lifestyle, you know. So I really give him kudos for that. Everybody that came out to speak out, I really appreciate that, and I really respect them for that, because it takes courage, you know. Diddy is somebody who people are scared of, you know. He's like a monster, so nobody wants to come out and get killed or get unalive after that. So
if that's true, it's really sad to think that Shine, who looked up to Diddy as a mentor, was locked up because of him. A betrayal like that sounds terrible, but it looks like it may have been the best thing to happen to Shine. While in jail, he discovered Judaism, and when he was released, became a politician in his home country of Belize, and is now the leader of the Belize United Democratic Party. He's even spoken about the situation, and speaks about how his honor stopped him from telling the truth and saying it was Diddy who pulled the trigger.
But none of that was worth me being a Tekashi 6ix9ine and saying, you know, Diddy did it.
Right.
It seems like, unlike many of his old associates, Shine was a man of honor, although he had to give up his rap career. From what we know now, it looks like that was the best thing that could have happened to him. It's not a good time for anyone whose name is linked to Diddy's, especially when it comes to music, and his arrest is going to have a far-reaching impact across the industry. Diddy's arrest's impact on the music world. Diddy's arrest not only impacts him, but as you know, he's a massive figure in the music scene, and his record labels are connected with many of the world's biggest artists and have been for years. We briefly touched on Diddy's past relationship with Universal Music Group, which mainly involved him assaulting their exec, but since then, he has been closely tied to their CEO, Lucian Grange. Grange has been labeled as a defendant in the Lil Rod lawsuits and is a huge name in the music industry. Some of the world's biggest superstars are signed to Universal Music Group, which include Drake, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, and Adele. You might think it's not that surprising that two big-name record label owners would know each other, but the lawsuit claims that their relationship is much more than that of business associates. The indictment claims that Mr. Jones, also known as Lil Rod, witnessed Lucian Grange visiting Diddy's home in LA as well as Miami. According to Jones, whenever he visited, it would be in the evening and the two would disappear for hours inside Diddy's bedroom. What's more is that it claims that Grange sponsored several Love album listening parties at Diddy's home in LA. These parties allegedly had minors and sex workers in them, and the suit claims that Lucian Grange would have been well aware that drinks were being laced and drugs distributed. It's been known since February that Grange and Universal Records are implicated in Diddy's crimes, but his recent arrest has got even more executives worried. According to Daily Mail, an insider told them that high-profile industry executives have started to create contingency plans. The source said, there are at least 5 execs who have been advised to explore their options, as they will not be protected by the shareholders if any allegations emerge. It goes on to say that record labels are petrified and that they're encouraging potentially troubling executives to clean up their acts. It's not only record labels that should be worried though. As the lawsuits keep coming and new information comes out, more and more artists' names are being mentioned. As well as Meek Mill being hinted at in one of the lawsuits, we've also seen Usher as well as Chris Brown's names dragged into it. The lawsuit mentions a well-known music producer called Stevie J having sex with multiple males on different occasions. It lists one of them as a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj and the other as an R&B singer who performed at the Super Bowl. Many believe the two whose names have been redacted are Meek Mill and Usher. Elsewhere in the document, it labels someone as a Grammy Award-winning R&B singer who had trouble with law enforcement after assaulting a Bajan billionaire. People think that's likely Chris Brown. Usher was one of many who grew up around Diddy and was taken under his wing when he was just 13. He lived with Diddy for a year, and in an interview he had this to say about the experience. "I got a chance to see some things. I went there to see the lifestyle and I saw it. I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at." Usher is not the only person who was allegedly groomed by Diddy. Many think Justin Bieber also was. Justin met Diddy when he was just 15 years old and the two spent a lot of time together. Justin appeared on a TV show where he spent 48 hours with Diddy, and during it, Diddy says this: "Like where we hanging out and what we're doing we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream." It's weird that Diddy liked to spend so much time with young boys, but that's all for now. If you like this video, click on one of the on-screen cards now to see more of the rap industry's craziest stories.
So thank you all for watching this video. So what do you think is going to happen to Diddy? Do you think he's going to get out of his court case free, or you think he's going to go to jail? Leave your opinion on the comments if you like the video. So don't forget to subscribe. I'm out. See you in the next one.